Hey, what's up, Internet? In this video, I am going over the questions that you should be asking yourself if you have decided that you want to sell or rent out or otherwise monetize your property, whether that's here in the Chicago area where I am or pretty much anywhere. And if this is your first time coming across me, my name is Jake Lyons. I am a agent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Chicago here in the Chicago area and owner of the chicagohomesource.com. And you can go there for some more resources and quizzes to figure out what the best strategy for your exit strategy might be. But in the meantime, we're gonna dig into these six questions, or really five and a half questions that you should be asking yourself if you are in basically if you're in any kind of situation that you have a property and you decide that you want to do something with it. You need to monetize this thing. You need to turn it into money somehow, some way, but you just don't know what the exact right way to go about doing that is. You sell it? Do you rent it out? Is there some kind of hybrid model? That's what we're trying to establish here. So, in my opinion, the first question that you should be asking yourself is, do you actually have to move? Might sound a little obvious at first, but having to move and having to sell are not necessarily the same thing. You can move and not sell. Obviously, you would just rent your place out. There's a lot of different ways to go about doing that if that's what you decide to do. So, do you actually have to or want to move? That is the first question that you should be asking yourself. The second question is, okay, now that that's over with, do you have to sell? Is there something going on in your world that you don't really care about renting this place out, or you don't want to? That's not something you want to deal with. And there's something going on where you actually have to sell. You have to be gone with this property for whatever reason. Whether you actually do have to move, or don't want to deal with the hassle of other things, whatever the case may be. So, do you have to move and do you have to sell? Those are the first two. The third one is going to be, what time frame do you need to sell in, assuming that you actually do have to sell. So, every situation is going to be a little different, of course, whether just depending on what kind of buyer that you happen to stumble across. But for the most part, the more time you have on your hands, or the more time is in your favor, the higher of a price that you can eventually get. The longer you're willing to hang out there for the right buyer who's willing to pay the price that you want, the more chance you're going to have of finding that buyer. The reverse is also just as true. If you're in a situation where you need to move this thing as fast as you can, you're probably going to give up some of the sales proceeds that you would have received if you had been in a situation to wait a little bit longer. So the time frame that you have to make this endeavor to do this thing in, whatever it is you decide to do, is going to be a huge determination, a huge thing to determine, whatever that word I'm looking for is, on what direction you go. So, do you need to move? Do you need to sell? What time frame do you need to sell in? The fourth is going to be the condition of the property. So this is another big thing in the orbit of this whole situation is what the condition that the property is actually in. So, there's a big difference between what you're going to get for a property, obviously, for something that's move-in ready and updated and has all the features that the modern buyer is looking for, versus something that is a complete tear-down situation and is going to take a lot of repair, or a lot of anything in between. There's degrees to this, almost infinite degrees to this whole thing. So between the two extremes. So figuring out where you're at with that and how that plays into what kind of options that you could get on the market, or even rental, or any other any other means that you pursue to monetize this property, whether that's a cash out refi or something else. We'll get into the options that these questions might lead to in the next video. Right now, we're just talking about the questions, and then the next video is going to be talking about the outcomes. The fifth and kind of final question to be considering is the amount of equity that you have in the property. This is huge. This easily could have been the number one question that I asked, or that you should be asking, because this is going to determine a lot of what kind of options you actually have. So equity, of course, being the difference between what your property is valued at, what you could get on the open market, and how much you owe on that property. So if you have negative equity, meaning that you actually owe more on the property than the property is worth, your options are going to be greatly limited. Pretty much you're either staying, you're renting it out, doing like a shared Airbnb or something like that if you really need to monetize it, or you're negotiating with your lender for a short sale or something along those lines. If you are basically even equity, even up through like 6% or so, 6, 7, 8%, you're pretty much breaking even on that property once all the selling costs and everything are taken into consideration. You're pretty much going to break even on that property, and then from that point on, you're profitable. And then I would say up to about 30% equity or more is where you start having even more options in terms of the types of buyers that you can sell to if you're looking to make a very quick sale, or if you're looking to refinance or do something like that. And then speaking of the refinance piece, kind of the bonus question is what kind of credit you have, what your credit profile, your credit score, your income, all that kind of stuff, to determine if you might be able to qualify for a cash out refi, which can be combined with some of these other outcomes that we'll get to in the next video, such as renting it out and Airbnb and that kind of thing. All right, that's it for this video. Hopefully that was valuable to you and got you thinking about the right questions that you should be asking yourself and pondering different potential scenarios and what might make sense for you, and that kind of thing. And the next video is going to be going over the different options that you might be able to explore based on your responses to these questions. And that is all. If you want more resources, please visit thechicagohomesource.com. There's probably a link somewhere along here. And if you did find this valuable, please like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever it is on the platform you're watching this on that indicates that you liked it and want more of it. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.